Hey, friends! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast with your host, Nicole
and Hannah. Come join us for some hopeful conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Welcome back, Hearties and Hallmarkies. Today, we're back with a very special guest on our podcast, Viv Leacock. Hi, Viv. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thank you. Hello, Hardy.
We're excited to have you on.
I'm excited to be here. I love talking. I love chatting about win calls and connecting with fans and everything. Yeah. I'm all about it. You have to get me to stop talking. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance.
All good.
It's all good. We love win calls to heart.
Oh, good.
All right. So just to start us off, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get your start in acting and what inspired you to become an actor?
A little bit about myself. Let's see. My parents are both from the West Indies, from Trinidad and Tobago. They met in New York City. I was supposed to be born in New York City, but I was a little too rambunctious and came out 2 months early while they were vacationing in Montreal, Canada, and so that's why I'm Canadian. But I came up in I was in New York for my early school till I was 10, and then we moved around a little bit. And I have an older brother, Richard, who's also an actor, and a younger sister, Liba, who's not an actor. She's the smartest of us. And it was actually really my brother that inspired me to pursue acting. He's 6 years older than me, so he kind of paved the way with our parents by heading into it before me. He was always an entertainer and a huge respect as far as our community and in the family. He was a break dancer, and he got into lip syncing and acting and everything. And so yeah, when it came time for me to pursue acting, it was he had softened the blow with the parents, so they were cool with it. But I honestly wouldn't be here without my older brother, Richard, for sure. What else can I tell you? Well, my birthday is April 20th, so I'm on an Aries. I'm an Aries Taurus. And what else? I have an amazing wife named Davina. We met in the 8th grade, and we started dating shortly after I graduated. She's a year ahead of me. That's how cool I am. And we started dating when I was about 18 and a half, just after I got out of school. And we've been together for, it's coming on 30 years. So
wow, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. And you've seen the byproduct of our union, which is Elias, but we also have another son named Lennox. He's the middle of the three, and he's trying to get him on win calls too. Play the kid's cousin or something.
That would be awesome.
We love that.
Yeah. Yes. And happy late birthday to
Thank
you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Mine is a couple weeks before you. Mine is the 6th.
Oh, okay. Well, happy belated.
Thank you.
That's my stepmother's birthday is April 6th. So.
Oh, happy late birthday to her as well.
Good day.
Awesome.
What was your first big role? Was it TV, theater, or film?
My first big role was a movie called I Spy. It was a Eddie Murphy, Owen Wilson movie, and I auditioned for the movie, and Eddie Murphy, he approved. He picked me to.
Wow.
He actually, I'll clarify. He actually picked both my brother and myself landed roles on the film. The roles were so Eddie Murphy played a middleweight boxing champion of the world who gets roped into helping a spy, Owen Wilson, infiltrate this like cartel, and I played Eddie Murphy's character's assistant, and my brother landed the part of the manager. And he was filming a TV series at the time called Doc with Billy Ray Cyrus, and the schedules conflicted, and so he didn't get to do it. But we booked that together, and that's something that the family connection thing. It kind of keeps popping up with with myself and my family, because you don't often get to work with your brother. You don't often get to work with your kids in film and television, and it's happened a couple times now. So that was the start of it. That was the biggest. It was supporting lead character. I'm based in Vancouver at the time. I was based in Vancouver then, and yeah, it was not expected that somebody out of Vancouver was going to get that part. So that was huge. And Eddie Murphy's my idol. I absolutely idolize Eddie Murphy, because my first love, and I should have said this earlier, my first love was stand-up comedy. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be. And my brother Richie kept saying, you should be an actor, you should be an actor. And I was like, no, I want to be a stand-up comedian. So everything came full circle, I guess, because the guy who was telling me I should be an actor, booked a part alongside me with the guy who inspired me to be a big reason for how I do what I do, vocal patterns, speech pattern, like a lot of gestures that I have, literally is Eddie Murphy. And so, yeah, it was an absolute dream come true. 4 months. We were in Budapest. We filmed in Vancouver, and we got along famously. Like he really took me under his wing, and he taught me a lot. And he was really giving with me. We would ad lib a lot in the film, and he would always throw out lines for me to kind of riff off of. And yeah, the first thing he told me was that you said, "You're real funny, man. You're real funny," and a little single tear rolled down. I was like, "Oh my God, Eddie Murphy's telling me I'm funny."
That's awesome.
Yeah, for the rest of my life, no one can tell me I'm not funny, because I'm like, Eddie told me I'm funny. So,
oh yeah, you're funny. That's great.
Yes, and he's a great actor, and Owen Wilson is as well. I think I remember Owen Wilson was in one of the Night at the Museum movies, which I really loved.
Mm-hmm. He's a sweetheart. Owen's from Texas, and he brought that Texas hospitality with him. He was so nice. Just the easiest going cat you ever met, and just we hit it off as well. He's funny. He's a funny dude. He told us a story about Sheryl Crow breaking up with him because of the birthday gift that he gave her. he gave her a humidifier and a CD cleaner.
What in the world?
Exactly. Whoa. That's why she broke up with him. She was like, "You got a little more money than that. See you later."
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Yep, it's a little Hollywood story for you there.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should mention Doc and your brother, because I was actually going to ask you about that. That's one of my favorite series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know like a lot of people haven't seen it, but when I saw that series and I saw that you guest started an episode, I was so excited, because at the time I knew you from Hailey Dean. And
yes.
so I was like, wow, Viv is in this. This is great. So yeah, so do you have any memories that you could share from your time on that set and working with your brother?
Yes. Very proud of my brother for landing that part, and Billy Ray was a sweetheart as well. But again, my brother and Billy Ray, lifelong friends, and he knew Miley when she was like 3 years old or something. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she'd always be singing. And my brother was like, he told Billy, he was like, "You gotta watch this one. She's gonna get into entertainment." And he was like, no, I don't think so. My brother's like, "I think she will." And he was right. So in that episode of the show, my character is he had struggled with drug abuse, and but he had successfully kicked the habit, and he was back in town, but he was like notorious. He was a gambler, drug, all this stuff. He was the bad seed. and my brother's character. My brother played a cop on the show, so of course there's the conflict. And the what you come to find out is the reason my character is exhibiting symptoms of or signs of being high is because he has epilepsy and he didn't know it. And so a lot of the things people get mad at him, and he's like, seizures and just faint, like just all the stuff was associated with the medical condition, because that's what they used to do on the show. Everything would tie back to some sort of medical condition that Billy Ray could diagnose and save the day. So there's a scene where I end up in the hospital, and it's my brother and I having this amazing heart-to-heart conversation. And so technically as an actor, if you're doing a scene where you're crying, you want to save the tears for when the camera's facing you. But I hadn't learned that yet. So we did like 6 or 7 takes on my brother, and I was crying the whole time.
Oh,
and then
no.
Turn the camera around for my coverage. I'm like, I couldn't squeeze a drop of tears out because I'd been crying the whole time before. So yeah, I learned a little bit that day. You have to be a little selfish with your tears. That's what I learned that day.
Right. That's right. I mean, how could you not? That was such like that was a really serious episode. I mean, I understand. How could you not, have some tears? And I'm sure just knowing that with your brother, even, I'm sure even more emotional. So. Yeah,
it was so easy because again, it's like when I act with Vienna and Elias. I mean, I'm not acting. No, I'm not acting. This is like I'm saying words that Joseph would say, but it's not too far off what I would say. It really isn't. Like the circumstances of their relationship. I told this to my wife the other day. This is the truth about how I feel about all my kids. I'll drop Vienna off at school. I'll drop Elias off at school and Lennox off at school. And every time they walk away, my heart breaks a little. I just to watch them walk away every single time, especially Vienna. There's just something, I guess, because she's my firstborn and that's my only girl. Like I can't explain it, but it's just like it's just when I think about how Joseph must feel about what's happened to Angela. Yeah, it just kills me. But the thing that lines up with then how I feel about my own life with my own kids is that Vienna is like one of the happiest, nicest people I've ever met in my life, and it it translates when you see Angela. It's the same kind of thing. She just radiates from inside. And the same with Elias, he's got the heart birthmark. I mean, he's
Yeah, that's great. Awesome.
That's great. Okay.
You've played a wide range of characters throughout your career. You've been a cop, a nurse, a prison guard, a teacher, a coach, and now a pastor.
Yes.
Just to name a few, what have been some of your favorite character roles to play and why?
I really, really love working with Kelly Martin on Hailey Dean. That was a really special situation that we had there with, like, Kelly and I hit it off. I met her and, not joking, 3 minutes later, everything you saw on film was exactly like we just clicked immediately. It's an interesting thing because with both the significant Hallmark series that I've been a part of, I clicked so easily and so quickly with my kind of co-star. Obviously this is an ensemble cast with When Calls, and I've known a lot of the cast for a long time, but I didn't know Natasha before, and I didn't know Kelly before we did Hailey Dean, and we just clicked so fast. It always kind of shocks me how easy it was for us to just become friends. And like, in this house, Kelly Martin is Auntie Kelly, honestly, we communicate all the time. And it's really cool to just form those connections and you know, the show is great. You do a show, that's wonderful. You know, you impact some fans, and you know, you make a living. That's amazing. But I can truly say I made a lifelong friend, you know, doing that show. And it's the same thing with Natasha. Same thing. Like it kind of it blows me away that I've, you know, rolled the dice many times and have had a lot of luck when it comes to the people around me. It's and this cast is no exception. Like some of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
In a show like this. So no, it's Hailey Dean Mysteries is a huge one, and there's a couple of comedy situations that I was part of just because, like I said, comedy is my first love. So I Spy, of course, because of Eddie Murphy and Owen Wilson. Did a movie called Intern Academy, and that was starring Dave Thomas from SCTV fame. Y'all probably too young to know about SCTV, but I got to meet Dan Aykroyd, Dave Foley, Dave Thomas, Matt Frewer, Maury Chaykin. There were so many like prominent Canadian comedic actors that we got to work with, and again from that film, lifelong friends with the cast, and then lastly, this will be the last. I'm sorry, I'm talking about. Lastly, I did a show called Loudermilk with Ron Livingston, Will Sasso, the whole but another ensemble cast, and Peter and Bobby Fairley from who directed There's Something About Mary and Dumb and Dumber. They are the ones behind the show, and comedically speaking, it was my absolute favorite place to be. There's a comedian named Brian Regan and another one named Jackie Flynn, who are actual stand-up comedians in real life. And Brian Regan in particular, he is really close friends with Jerry Seinfeld. And so every time I made Brian laugh, I was like, I can make Jerry Seinfeld laugh, because Brian makes Jerry laugh really hard. So I was like, I'm so close. I was so close. So, and Will Sasso has got to be one of the funniest human beings on the planet. Y'all get a chance, check out his Instagram, because oh my God, Will is so funny. And then, like I said, Peter and Bobby Fairley, we just hit it off. But it's especially Peter Fairley and I don't know, we just clicked, and we see eye to eye on so many things. Because comedy is kind of like doing math, you know. It's like a bunch of math teachers getting together. You know that you see the world in a particular way because, you know, you can do it or you can't. I don't think you can teach it to someone else who didn't already know how to do it or doesn't have the gene for it or whatever. But comedy, I don't know if it can be taught. I don't know. I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
I always love when I'm like talking to the actors and stuff, hearing about, you know, those behind the scenes relationships, how they grow so close. And I have to say, I can definitely see that. I definitely saw that with Hailey Dean, with you and Kelly. That is actually my favorite mystery series. So I think that's a big reason, is a big part of it too, is you really feel that connection.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely talk about more of that later on. But another question we had was, do you have any other interests in the industry, such as writing, directing, or producing?
You checked all three, actually. Yes. I actually directed before. I directed a short film, 8 years ago now, and I'm definitely looking to get back into directing. I have a particular eye when it comes to the logic of a scene or the logic of a script or story. I will not forgive illogical writing. I can't. There's too many eyes that see it before it gets put out. So I'm like, how did this get past everybody? It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you have to do the color correcting and the editing and the sound mix and all this stuff to make sure a film or TV show gets put out. Like, what? You tell me you didn't see that stupid scene? Come on. You know, like, it drives me nuts personally. So I definitely want to do all three. Writing is very difficult. It's very hard. Writing is, I give writing a lot of respect because wow. To inhabit a character and you're a writer, you're not an actor, and to write these words that flow and make sense and have stakes and there's a conflict. Oh my God, it's amazing that they can do it. And when you come across good writing, it is the easiest stuff for you to memorize. It is the easiest stuff for you to recite. It just rolls off your tongue because it's put together properly. I give people a lot of respect when it comes to writing. I don't always follow the script. I ad-lib a lot, but I respect the process immensely.
Yeah, my dad actually a couple years ago, I think it was 2019, he earned his master's in screenwriting from the University of Georgia.
Wow. Kudos to Dad. Wow.
Yes, we're proud of him.
You tell him I say congratulations.
I will. He worked really hard. And I'm a little bit interested in screenwriting as well. I was able to sit in with my dad for his last residency, which is basically where people from the industry come in and give lectures. It was a lot of fun.
That's very cool.
Actually, funny story related to When Calls the Heart. One of the mentors for a couple of the students or my dad's classmates is friends with Brian Bird.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, everything comes full circle.
Yes.
It does.
Great. Small world. Definitely.
When she mentioned that, I said, "Are you kidding me? That's one of my favorite shows."
That is cool. It's very cool. Yeah, I like I said, the writing game, I'd probably stay away from the writing game. I'm definitely more of an ideas guy. I tell this story, it's very quick. I tell this story, and it's my little claim to fame that like nobody knows about except the writer of Batman. So let me explain. So the movie Batman Begins, the writer of that movie is it's Christopher Nolan, his brother Jonathan, and another writer named David Goyer. And in 2005, David Goyer was living in Vancouver because he had directed a movie and was staying here because he had started dating someone who was coincidentally my wife's coworker. So I would see David all the time. And David and I got to be good friends. And one day he was like, "Hey, let's go for dinner." I'm like, "Okay." So we go for dinner, and he tells me then, "I'm writing Batman." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Well," I said, "I'm a big Batman fan. So I have some rules that I want to tell you. This is the way it should go." So I said to him, I said, "If you want to make the perfect Batman movie, you take the movie Seven, Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman movie, and drop in Batman. If you want to make a perfect Batman movie, that's the tone, the look, the feel. It has to be that. And if you look at the latest Batman movie, what do you think that looks like?" And if you look at he wrote Batman Begins, but The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger was literally taking the movie Seven and dropping in Batman. That's my little claim.
Wow.
I got
That's
this whole
amazing. That's amazing.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah. My dad and I are actually fans of the original Batman show with Adam West and I can't remember who played Robin. His name is
Burt Ward.
Burt Ward. Yeah. I get the love of all the old shows and music from my dad.
You know what? Your dad sounds like a cool guy. I like him already.
He is a very cool guy, a very cool dad.
You're lucky.
Yes.
Good man.
Yes, I am. So let's move into some of your work on the Hallmark Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that your role of Pastor Jim Thomas on Signed, Still Delivered could have led to being cast as Joseph on When Calls the Heart?
Wow.
And our follow-up question is, we recently had Signed, Sealed, Delivered's Kristen Booth on the podcast. She seems like such a nice person. What was it like working with her and the rest of the cast?
Yes, that is you know what? I never thought about the connection between my role on Signed, Sealed, Delivered and When Calls. I guess maybe in the back of someone's head, if they had seen me do that on Signed, Sealed, Delivered, which came out, a while back. Yeah, maybe it would be a kind of an easy thing to imagine, or yeah, it's like, it makes sense. The entire cast of Signed, Sealed, Delivered, great people. Myself and Crystal Lowe have been friends for 20 years. She was actually an I Spy. She was actually an I Spy with me. She was a part in I Spy, and we've known each other forever. Wow. And who else done it? So Eric and I chat all the time. We did another Hallmark Christmas movie. Yeah. And Eric,
I love that one.
Yeah, we hit it off really well. We always chat. And Kristen, everybody was really sweet. Everybody was really, really kind on that. That was a really, really easy shoot, I gotta say, because everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody, falls into their characters so easily, but they're a lot of fun. They're definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely one of our favorite shows on the network.
Definitely.
Also, did you get to meet Carol Burnett? Because that was her first episode on the show.
I did get to meet Carol Burnett, which was a huge thing for me. Because again,
awesome.
Comedians, you want to meet a comedian. And she was hilarious.
Yes.
Nonstop, joking. She knows her stuff. She's a smart lady. Oh my gosh.
She's awesome.
The stories that she has, oh my.
Yeah.
So good.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already kind of talked about this, but we've seen you in many different Hallmark roles over the years, such as A Christmas Detour, Aurora Teagarden, Murder, She Baked, and most recently, Rise and Shine, Benedict Stone. Do you have any characters that you've played over the years on Hallmark that would be a favorite of yours, besides Hailey Dean? Because I know we already talked about
it. Yeah, besides Fincher, I mean, man, I could play Fincher anytime. I'm ready. Besides, who is the... working on Murder, She Baked was a lot of fun. Cameron Matheson, man, that's my guy. I love that guy so much.
Great.
He is so nice. He's so nice, and we just hit it off. It was just, I can't explain how incredibly giving and kind he is. I don't think people will believe it. He'll give you the shirt off his back, and not only because he's so ripped, but because he literally is always looking out for everybody. I mentioned that I was looking to, I'm trying to, get in a little bit better shape for whatever, something I had to go on and do. And I said it just in passing. And 2 days later, he has this full-on diet, regimen all worked up. And here you go. What? I didn't. That's so nice. I just said it. But he's always listening, and he's always doing things for everybody else. He's a great dude.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, I could drop in and hang out with Cam anytime. That's my guy right there. Yeah. What else have I done on Hallmark? It's still Fincher. Fincher is my number one. That is
yes.
Man, we had a lot of fun doing that show, man. I'm telling you. Hopefully in some way, shape, or form, that show can live on in some way.
We hope so.
We're gonna talk to the top brass and see
it's one of my favorites as well.
My favorite. So yes, please. Anyway, we can get it back. Would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're listening to us right now. I think that's yes. the two guys I definitely would jump in and play.
Yeah.
Unless I'm forgetting. You tell me if I'm forgetting anybody. I think I've done a couple of Christmas movies. I did Murder She Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Signed, Sealed, Delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hailey Dean. Winkles. Yeah, I think I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It would be Murder She. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. You've done a great job in all of your roles.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Yeah.
We were sad when they canceled Hailey Dean Mysteries. We know you enjoy playing Fincher. What are some fun behind the scenes memories from working on that set?
Yeah, enjoyed playing Fincher tremendously. Myself and Kelly. So in every mystery movie, there's always a point where, there's a bunch of exposition that the characters have to go through in order to figure out who the bad guy is or bad girl is. And there was there was one episode, I can't remember which one it was, but there was a shell company that the bad guy was using, and it was called Arcand International. And for some reason, when we rehearsal, I was like, Arcand International. I said it like that, and Kelly fell out. She couldn't stop laughing. And so if I call her right now and it was like, Arcand International, she would literally fall on the floor laughing. Every time we said that name in that episode, we would always, both of us would take turns going, Arcand International. We'd just do that over. We'd just be we were silly. The two of us together, man. We did especially the car scene.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. We did we did an episode where Nancy Grace jumped into the back of Fincher's car when Hailey and Fincher were on a stakeout. And she thought like a car service. Oh my God.
That was funny.
The outtakes from that are hilarious because Nancy she acted like a crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. We trying our best just to don't laugh, just keep it going. But oh man, Nancy kept us on her toes. I was saying to Nancy all the time, I'm like, you don't want to be an actor, like a comedic actor? No, I can't. I'm like, Nancy, she
is. She is.
So funny. It's crazy. Yeah. I did not expect that. Anything I ever seen that she done is everything's very serious, very dramatic. Everything is, hard hitting headlines. And then to meet her, and she's so, oh my God, Nancy, that's my girl. We hit it off, man, and she's so cuddly, she's so kind, and she's like, oh man, I miss her. She's a sweetie. I crack her up all the time. And she cracked us up. Like, we were just like, what? Really? I didn't know she's quick. Like, I mean, comedic quick. And it was great. I was just like, my goal on that show was to make Kelly laugh as much as possible. That was my goal. And Kelly had her workload on that was a little bit bigger than mine because she was number one, I was number two. But I would keep her going by playing music. That's a little inside track. If anybody working with Kelly, you see her getting tired, put on some good music. That'll lift her up. So I got tons of videos of Kelly dancing to songs that I'm playing. It's very cool.
That's awesome.
I love that.
The show definitely had a great ensemble cast.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I love Hailey Dean. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had the opportunity to do more Hailey Dean, where would you have liked Fincher's storyline to go, as well as Hailey's? How would have you wrapped that whole storyline up?
Yeah. The thing that I love most about what we were doing on Hailey Dean was that, traditionally in the murder mysteries, the thing to do is always, you take the investigator and you take the main protagonist and they become a couple at some point. And the thing that was so cool about Hailey Dean is that, you know, it wasn't it wasn't like a boyfriend girlfriend thing with Fincher and Hailey. It was just best friends who completely love each other. And there's you know, and that's it. And that was so the love story for Hailey Dean was their relationship. And I love the fact that we got to that we kind of changed, you know, the thing that happens most often in the mystery movies. Where would I like to see it go? I think we were heading in the you know, a cool direction. You know, I don't know if Hailey works while being a wife, you know, and kind of maybe seemingly having to consider her husband before she runs off and tries to solve a crime. Because, you know, the thing that she always gets into trouble because her curiosity, you know, gets the best of her, and she has to go look into something, and then, you know, Fincher has to come and make sure she doesn't get hurt. You know, we could have kept going. You know, we could have kept going. I think we had the formula locked in. Like I said, I don't know if it would have worked if she got married. Not sure. Certainly a boyfriend. Like Matt McCall. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I love
He's
Matt.
great.
I love Jonas. Yes, Scott Jonas. Yeah.
That's Jonas. That's a man. And let me tell you, ladies, he's just as handsome in real life. And he's, oh my gosh, he's so funny, and we had a good time. I think if we kept going, I don't know if either one of them would have gotten married. I don't know if, you know, Fincher would have gotten married, or if Hailey would have got. I don't know if it works, because like I said, the kind of the core piece of that show was Fincher and Hailey in the dynamic that they have. So yeah, I think we would have, like I said, man, you can call Kelly right now. We can pick up and we can do a few of them right now. It'd be no problem.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's talk about When Calls the Heart. Joseph Canfield's children, Angela and Cooper, are played by your real life children, Vienna and Elias. How is that working out? Do they ever get out of line where you have to discipline them on the set?
It is amazing working with my kids. You know, Vienna is the one that wanted to be an actor and had made that clear to both myself and my wife that that's what she wanted to do. She had already been doing voice acting for cartoons when Calls came along. So it was like a pretty easy, you know, transition for her to think about doing stuff on camera. Elias, on the other hand, both of my boys, Vienna included. Vienna's, you know, very athletic, but both of my boys have kind of excelled in athletics, and you know, Elias was just busy doing soccer and basketball and track and field and everything, and he wasn't really thinking about. I'd asked him, I think maybe a couple years before, if he ever saw himself being an actor. And he said, yeah, when I get older. That was his answer. So when I got the part of Joseph, I didn't realize that Joseph I knew he had children, but I didn't know what their ages were. I hadn't seen the description of the characters. And ironically, I was helping someone I know with the audition for Minnie. I was helping another actor for that part, and I saw the description of the characters, and I was like, oh, one is 14 and one is 10. And I was like, I have two kids that are 14 and 10. I wasn't thinking about Elias. I was only thinking about Vienna. So I called my agent and I said, hey, you know, I got a good idea. What do you think about Vienna auditioning for Angela? And my agent's name is Natasha too. She was like, oh, that's a great idea. So let me call casting. So she calls casting, the amazing Candice Elzinga. And Candice was like, that's a great idea. So everybody thought it was a good idea. My wife thought it was a good idea. All of us thought it was a good idea, and I contacted Vienna. She was away at the time. She was visiting with one of her good friends from school. Their parents have a cabin, a few hours drive from where we are, and so she was far away. And I called her and I said, "Hey, I got you an audition for When Calls the Heart to play my daughter." And I gave her the particulars of Angela Canfield and everything that's going on with Angela, and she was like, "I don't want to do it." I was like, "What? What do you mean? You talk about acting all the time." And she was like, "Dad, she's blind, and this is a super established show, and I'll have to work with you too. Like, I have to work alongside you." And I was like, "What's wrong with working with me?" She's like, "Would you like to work with Granddad on your very first job?" And I was like, "Oh, I never looked at it that way. I never, because the pressure is greater, obviously, with someone that that does this, rather than if you don't know the person that plays your father, you get to go home and not think about
Right.
the fact that maybe you screwed up. But if that's your actual dad, then you never get away from him. He's like, "Oh, you made a mistake," and he comes home and says, "You made a mistake on set today." So she really didn't want to do it, and I wasn't gonna push her. I said, "That's fine, it's fine." I didn't want her first kind of foray into acting to be something where she was doing it because I asked her to do it, or she thought that she should because of me. So I said, "That's okay." My wife and I both were like, "That's fine." Peter DeLuise found out. So Peter writes, directs, and produces When Called, and he and I go way back. And he called me up and he's like, "What's this I hear about your daughter not auditioning for Angela?" And I said, "Well, I was like, Peter, she doesn't want to do it." And I told him all the reasons why. And he was like, "That's fair. That's fair." And he's like, "Give me 1 second." And he hangs up the phone. And then I get this video from Peter. And he's like, he texts me, he says, "Show this to your daughter." And it's a video of him recording himself saying, "Vienna, I will not let you down." He says it straight to the camera. And like, "Play that for your daughter." And so I played it for her. And once she knew that it wasn't just me pulling for her, that the process wasn't just going to be, I'm the one that's saying, "Oh, you're really good." Then she was keen to try the audition. And once she did the audition, and they saw her audition tape, that she was their choice. And they called back and they said, "Do you have any sons?" But as a matter of fact, I had 2 sons. So Lennox and Elias, and my nephew, my sister's youngest son, Elias and him are the same age. All 3 of them auditioned for the part.
Wow.
And they went with Elias because he was just the cutest. The 3. Lennox is 2.5 years older than him, so Cooper would have been a teenager by now. He would have been, the voice would have been changing and stuff. So that was how we all got on, and getting on there, working together. Now it's always been smooth. The only thing I had to do was get Elias away from the craft service table, but outside of that, it's pretty easy.
That's awesome.
They click very well with the other kids on the cast. They hang out, like Vienna and Cadence. They were hanging out the other day. They went to the mall. Yeah, it's
That's
very
really
cool.
sweet.
Yeah, they and they love Javen. Oh my God, Javen. That's all.
He's awesome too. The whole cast is awesome.
Everybody's so cool.
Yeah.
No, it's been really smooth. There's, like I said, there's been no issues. Like, it's just craft service. Where's Elias? Elias is getting snack. That's where Elias is.
Oh my goodness. We hear a lot about craft services from Instagram and
popular.
Very popular. Very popular.
We're glad that all 3 of you are part of the show.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I can definitely understand Vienna's point of view.
Yeah.
And especially just like playing a character like Angela, like that's definitely a little bit daunting, but she's done a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Just beautiful job playing Angela.
Thank you. You know what?
Was amazing too.
Yeah, you know what? It was actually so Peter DeLuise's wife, Anne-Marie DeLuise, is an amazing actor. And she actually gave Vienna a couple tips on kind of when playing blind. There's a mindset if you have, it makes it a little easier. And Vienna took that and ran with it. And of course we did research and made sure that everything was being done as correctly as possible. You can't always do it, but what's interesting is Vienna ended up doing a Christmas movie during the first season that we were on When Calls. And so when she plays Angela, if she's looking at the camera, or if that's the camera's somebody, she always does this thing where she's looking here. She doesn't, like Angela is blind, she doesn't look at people. She kind of uses her ears are her eyes, basically. So she's always kind of constantly, her eye line is way off. So here she is now on this other movie set. And like the first day she's doing it, I was watching her. I was like, "No, Vienna, you gotta look at everybody now. You can't." Oh my God, I'm so used to doing that at this point. So we had to laugh. And I have some good friends that provide the Walla for When Calls. So the Walla for the listeners is any additional voices that you hear, passersby, people in cafes, that didn't get recorded on the day. They added after. So they watched all the episodes, and my buddy called me. His name is Alistair Abel, and he called me. He's like, man, I gotta tell you, when I saw Vienna in the scene, I didn't know she was playing blind. So he was like, what the hell is going on with her eyeline? It's so way over to the right. He was like, oh my gosh, Viv is gonna be like gutted when I tell him this kid is like not doing this right. And other actors in the room are like, dude, she's blind. And he's like, oh God, oh thank God. Yeah. So he was almost calling me, like he was like, I don't know how to tell you this, man, but yeah, we had a good laugh.
Wow. That's funny.
Yeah.
So were you all a fan of the show before you got cast in season 8?
Yeah, we had it was on Netflix, and it was actually Vienna that had come across it, and I always knew about White Calls because I see the cast, if there was any Hallmark get-togethers and stuff like that, we'd always see each other, so we always knew about what everybody was doing. But it wasn't until like shortly before we actually got on the show that we just ironically started going through all the seasons, and it was kind of interesting being when it came up, because it was something that was part of our universe at that point. It was very interesting timing.
Right.
Yeah. That's how I found the show as well. I wasn't watching from the beginning. I'm not an OG Hardy, as a lot of people say, but I started in 2017, so middle of season 4. Yeah,
it was. It's just interesting how that happened. I didn't see that one coming. To be honest, I didn't see it coming. I didn't, but I'm glad it did.
Yes, we are too.
Good surprise. Yeah. So do you have a favorite character in Hope Valley besides your own?
Yes. Hickam. I love Ben a lot. That Ben Rosenbaum is my
He's
dude.
Hilarious.
He is so funny. Like, you have no idea how funny he is. You'll never see it when you watch the show, how actually funny he is. And I love Cabin a lot. We go way back, and I'm sure you can, I think you can see it whenever you watch Joseph and Lee, that there's a little extra something there between these two, because Kevin and I, we get along really well, and but my favorite guy is Ben, is Hickam. I love
That's awesome.
Ben and I have this running gag where where I said it'd be hilarious if Hickam was like a serial killer because he's just so awkward, so bumbling sometimes. It'd be hilarious if he turned out to be some evil guy. It'd be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
But that's just Ben. Ben is super comedic and like I said, that's my first love. So and we crack each other up all the time. That guy. I think Kevin is probably like the person who he cracks the most jokes like on set. But Ben would just text me something random and we laugh for a good 15 minutes. So
yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, I have to say he's killing it this season.
Yeah.
He's been on for many seasons, but I feel like they've given him such a great character arc this season. I am eating it up. I love it.
Yeah.
So funny.
He's just there was a deleted scene with this whole fire safety thing that if you look on Twitter and on Instagram, he actually
I saw it. Yeah.
And it was hilarious.
Yes.
Not for Kevin. When we filmed that, it was freezing.
Oh my goodness.
Kevin had to keep getting wet. So when you see me laughing in that scene, I'm not acting. I'm laughing.
Definitely.
I just watched it the other day. I was cracking up.
He like looks down the nozzle. I was like, holy! He's so good. He's so good. Funny. He made my kids die with laughter. He did this. He did this pretend pose for a calendar called the Men of Hope Valley, and he.
Oh goodness.
We did a scene where he's playing the trumpet in the background, and he just did this little pose, and Vienna lost it. She could not get it together.
Oh my goodness.
He's people don't know how funny he is. They do not know how amazingly gifted Ben is. Ben is, and then of course Jack Wagner, man. Jack has got a million stories. And, he's I mean, you think I have Hollywood stories? Jack's got them all. He's been there, done that. He's done everything. So we constantly chat about all the crazy things he got into. And Martin Cummins and I were actually neighbors for we were neighbors for probably 10 years.
Oh wow.
Kids,
that's amazing.
Our kids went to school together and Martin and I are like that's my guy as well. We're really close. So it's a nice set to be on. There's a lot of people that I hold dear, and of course our Erin Krakow. She's
great.
Probably one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yes.
Wow. Very, very sweet. I tell her all the time. I'm like, I've never seen somebody embody a character as easily as she does. Like the kindness that Elizabeth displays, that's just Erin. Like it's the same person. And I don't think there's anything that Elizabeth would do that Erin wouldn't do.
Oh,
honestly,
that's nice to hear.
Yeah, I tell her all the time. I'm like, and as she goes above and beyond. It's like she's always recognizing people. She's always, she's the one with the, first one to say happy birthday to somebody. The first one to, she, the number one status on a set is it's a responsibility that goes beyond, the words on the page. And to be number one, you are asked to do a lot. And she does it so well and with a lot of grace. And that's the thing that I appreciate the most about what Erin does.
She's done an amazing job.
Oh man. For like, what are we talking, 10 years now?
Almost 10 years.
It's great.
It's a lot. It's a lot for someone to take on. And it's, like I said, it's a huge responsibility because it doesn't stop when we stop filming. you know, Aaron is the face of the show, and with that comes, you know, lots of things that she has to do beyond memorizing lines and showing up on set. So
Right.
yeah,
Definitely.
Joseph Canfield was a big part of this Sunday's episode. There were a lot of things going on with him regarding the cafe. And there was a big confrontational scene with Lee. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So it's kind of so Minnie and Angela have gone away to visit with Joseph's in-laws, and so Joseph is trying to run this cafe, and you know that's not his forte. He can do a lot of things, but he can't like run a cafe by himself. So the good folks of Hope Valley all kind of come in to help out to run the cafe, but during all of this, he finds out that Lee and Rosemary co-signed the loan that Canfield's got for the cafe, and he's not very pleased because Lee did it behind his back. Now, it's kind of interesting thing. If you say behind my back, it always has a negative connotation to it.
Right.
But Lee, he did it knowing that Joseph would be too proud to accept the help in the first place. And you know, there's an idea that Kevin and I, you know, have worked out when doing these scenes, in that there's another scene. There was a scene, the original scene where Joseph and Minnie they go to get the loan, and they don't get the loan, and they come back, and Joseph, you know, gives back the car keys, and he says, you know, we didn't get the loan.
Right.
Originally, it was scripted that Lee says why. He asked the question why, and Joseph was supposed to say, think about it. And I didn't have to argue very much, but I argued that Joseph shouldn't have to say anything, and Lee would know why.
Right.
Because we're not playing it like racism and, you know, any type of bigotry doesn't exist in the world. We're not playing it like that's the deal. Like Lee doesn't know about it. We're playing it like, fortunately, it doesn't exist in Hope Valley, but it's not something that won't rear its ugly head somewhere else. And so, you know, it's everything that Joseph is worried about before they even go to the bank. And Minnie looks at things a little bit differently. Again, you know, there's an idea that folks have that perhaps, you know, African American people weren't well off at all across, you know, the early 1900s, and that's not the case. It's typical that it's typical that most African Americans were not, you know, in a good place financially in that time, but it wasn't true that nobody was, you know, in a good position financially. There were some wealthy Black families. So in the story, Minnie's family is well off. And so the way she looks at the world is very different than the way Joseph looks at the world, being that his family just he didn't come from money. He didn't come from, you know, a position where if you wanted to go get a loan, you just go to the bank and they give you money. He didn't come from that. He's a guy who works he could do all these things because he had to. He can do all these jobs because he worked 1,000 different jobs because he had to. And so now, leading back to, you know, the moment where he comes in and he confronts Lee with, you know, why didn't you ask me? And he says, because you wouldn't have taken it. He's like, then you should have known not to do this. Because you had to do it without my knowledge. You had to do it, you know, pretending that you didn't know. You had to, like, there's deception involved. Even though, of course, it is well-meaning, the way you're acting when we tell you we got the loan. Oh my goodness, like, all that stuff. It all comes from this place where you're hiding something. But as Cooper says to Joseph, you have really good friends.
Yes.
And it's something that Joseph has to understand, because he would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
He would have told Lee. The difference is he would have told Lee. But both men understand that there's a tremendous amount of pride involved in what's happened. And Lee may not necessarily be able to understand the feelings and the emotions behind where Joseph was coming from. And that's something you guys are going to see. I'll give you a little spoiler. We're gonna delve back into that. So Joseph and Lee can continue the conversation. I think we did a really good job with it. And
yeah, you did.
Yeah, what was really cool is that, I had a lot of input into how it should go, and my thoughts and Kevin's thoughts were, everybody respected where we were coming from,
right?
What we were trying to accomplish, and at the end of the day, I really wanted to show that, these guys really care about each other.
Yeah,
that was the main thing. The main thing was that was our goal, to show that they really care about each other, and there's a reason why they're so close. So yeah, I think we did a good job with it.
You did. Y'all
definitely handled it in a really sensitive way, but also a very heartfelt way. I really love the way you guys did that. Played it very well.
I do too. Yes.
Yeah, and it's just it was very real. That's the thing.
Yes.
Again, playing the Canfields. Natasha and I talk about this all the time, where it's like, we're playing people that existed. We're, you know what I mean? Like it's like, the worries and fears that they have are honestly the worries and fears that some family had at that time. It is, and we have a massive responsibility to ensure that we get that right. We're standing on the shoulders of people that came before us that didn't have it as easy as we do, and we need to respect that. So
right. So this Sunday you also had some nice scenes with your son Elias. Can you tell us what it was like filming those scenes with him and how you guys prepared for that?
Yeah, working with Elias is very easy. Working with both the kids, or all three kids, is actually very easy, because if they have auditions or anything, I'm the one that's running with them and coaching them and stuff like that. And I gotta say, Elias has a really good instincts on, like, it takes actors a long time sometimes to kind of understand and know what they do in real life in a situation, like the face they make when someone says this, the thing they're thinking when someone says that. Like, Elias knows himself. He's actually a really good mimic. He mimics me all the time, and actually all three of them make fun of me all the time. That was like the way I hold this is a big thing. The way I hold a cup apparently is extremely funny. So these guys are always clowning on me continuously. But the thing I love about that is that's exactly what I did with my parents.
Right.
It's that ability to mimic that's a good foundation to be an actor. And Elias is like natural instincts on kind of how he feels about a particular line, or the look on his face when he's carrying something he needs to say. That's Elias. Like that that's just him. He's just dropped in, and he's better on the lines than me. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell you that right now. He's I'm worried about me and him, and he's just worried about his lines and getting it right. But yeah, I love working with him. And Vienna, so much, but everything that Cooper's going through with his he's disillusioned with his faith at the moment, because he's getting older. It's because he's starting to see the world. I've said this before. There's been a couple of interviews where I've said, it's ironic that now that you're in a good place, that your anger about what's happened in the past takes over.
Sure.
And that's exactly what's happening. So Cooper is he heard the story about what happened to Angela, not the whole story. So he doesn't know that a doctor wouldn't treat her, which is why she's blind. Right. He doesn't know that what she had could have been something that was treated and prevented her from being blind. It's just that the doctor was bigoted and he just wouldn't treat her, which is why we left where we were. So that's not a story that Joseph or Minnie have relayed to their kids, because for Angela, that's a thing where now she's carrying around this hatred, and the same with Cooper. And I can tell you from real life situations, it is something that can happen. You can start to just carry this resentment because the world is not fair as far as you're concerned. It's always this thing where, there's one lane for you and there's one lane for everybody else. And so Cooper is coming into his own. He's looking around and he's seeing that, look at all these really nice, kind people in Hope Valley. Look at how they treat everybody. Look how they treat us. He's old enough to kind of recognize subtle differences between where we were and where we are. And it's, like I said, ironically, it's that kind of juxtaposition that's making him realize that there were just bad people where we were, and he's angry about it because he couldn't do anything about it at the time, which is the fuel for the line that he had, where we had the parent-teacher situation with Elizabeth, and he says to Joseph, well, at least I'm doing something about it. That is directly related back to the fact that he's starting to wonder why his parents couldn't have prevented Angela from being blind. Doesn't understand the situation in its entirety. And of course, Joseph, being a pastor, is a man who will turn the other cheek. They're a family of faith. And again, if your faith starts to be questioned, it's a struggle between what he may have wanted to do and what he ended up doing. As far as like it's not anything that Cooper could know. Cooper cannot know what Joseph felt like doing in the moment, or what Minnie felt like doing in the moment. He's just assuming that we just kind of left. We kind of just ran away from our problems. But it's much bigger than that and much more complicated than that. And it's through him trying to understand, but not being told, that he's now lost his faith, because he's basically wondering why God could let that happen. And it's so loaded, and
it is.
I've broken it all down for Elias and explained everything. But again, Elias is, going to be 12 years old this year, and he's experienced some of that, racism in some situations, but not to the degree that I did, not to the degree that my father did. And so it's a concept more than it's a reality. And but he gets it because he's heard about it. He's heard about it happening in his own family. So he does carry it, and everything you see is just how my kid is processing all of that information and all of those feelings. And I'll watch him, and I just say he's doing such a great job, because
he is.
Yes, he is.
I just believe it, and I'm really happy that they wrote this. The thing I love about playing the Canfield is, the Canfields come with their own storylines before they ever walked into Hope Valley. The Canfields come with their own conflicts, their own things that they're dealing with, you know, beyond anything that happens in Hope Valley. And now, you know, that's a pretty amazing thing to do. And we're the only family, you know, in Hope Valley. We're the only actual, you know, mother, father, two kids. There's no other situation like that.
Yeah.
That we focus on in Hope Valley.
Right.
And yeah, I'm glad we get to do it and really get to kind of go down this path, exploring avenues that, you know, up until now hadn't been. And yeah, I think it's important, and I'm glad that we are the ones that were, you know, chosen to do it. So
it is, yeah. I mean, I'm loving this storyline. I'm
too.
feeling it. I'm there with the Canfields. I'm rooting for them. I love it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah,
I am too.
We feel the fan base, man. I'm telling you, so many people reach out, and they have such words of support, and like, you know, lots of I got lots of messages with man, just so people are so kind, and they have so much praise for what the kids are doing. I'm blown away by it. It really is an amazing thing to see. And I told Vienna a story about, you know, a message that I got, and it was there was a girl that was going to be doing a test in college, and she was worried about doing the test, but she watched yeah, this is so crazy. She watched Angela not give up on her dreams of going to school, and she watched Angela, you know, never just get down on herself and just give up. And she wrote to me saying as much, that like that inspired her to go and do this test that she was so afraid to do, and that she did very well in it. But it was because of watching Vienna. And I was just like, I showed it to Vienna, and she couldn't stop crying. She was just like, yeah, she was just so blown away that happened. And I said to her, I said, this is why we do it. It's not for fame and fortune. It is to connect with other humans across the world, you know, because this is us. This is all of us. We all have these worries. We all have these fears. All of us. Nobody's excluded from any of these stories. And, you know, I said, look, this is what we're doing. We are in service to the general public. If we can help somebody have a reprieve, have a break, you know, from anything that they're doing that is stressful, anything that they're doing that is hard to do, anything that they're doing that is, you know, there are people out there there are neurosurgeons out there right now who are operating on babies.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who are doing jobs that I can't even imagine, with stakes that are so sky high. And if we can provide, you know, me being an actor, my kids being actors, if they can provide that person with just a small window of being able to unplug their brain, and they can laugh, or they can cry, or they can release some of that, that's what we're here to do. So, you know, that's what I tell them. And she saw it that day, and I'll carry that forever. That is
that's amazing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I love that.
This really is an amazing show. We hope that it will continue for many more years.
Yeah, it really is. You know what? It feels like When Calls is one of those shows that it just sticks around. You know, I'm a big, my wife and I are big Law and Order fans, and you know,
my dad loves that show.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yes, you know, I thought your dad's cool, and you are too.
Thanks.
You know, I mean, again, that's a show, you know, 20 plus seasons.
Yeah.
So I think When Calls could go for that, no problem.
Yeah.
You can watch everybody grow up. You know,
Yeah.
you can watch new families come in, it's
Yeah.
Elizabeth is a teacher. That's a job
Yeah.
people do well into their old age, right? It all makes sense. It all makes sense
Yes.
for it to keep going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you go back and watch the final edits of scenes with your kids, do you feel a greater impact than when you were on the set filming them? In other words, do you ever get chills?
Yes. The very first scene that not the very first scene. In season 8, there's a scene where Angela finds her piano and she's playing a song on the piano, and Elizabeth and Jesse had given Cooper a ride home.
Yeah.
So here I have, I watch Elias do his little scene where Elizabeth's like, what is that sound? And he's like, that's just Angela.
Yeah.
And he jumps down
Oh.
the wagon, and he's so tiny, he's so small. Oh my god! And he comes, and we're sitting, and myself and Joseph and Minnie are watching Angela climb up on the piano, and we're worried that she might fall, but it's, no, let her do it. And she finds the piano. Oh, and here now is the thing that gives Angela joy, and it's the reason that she can see. It's the reason why she can be and go beyond her physical, body. And and here I am watching my daughter do this, and I had to check myself because Viv wanted to cry because it was so.
Yeah, I did too.
I wanted to cry, but I was like, "This is 1918. Joseph cannot cry. Can't cry. Jesse's here. He can't cry." So I was like, so I put that away. But if you watch that scene and you look at me looking at my daughter, there's no acting there. I am looking at my daughter, and I am so proud of the way Vienna did that scene. She was fearless. I was blown away by she just that was her first really, really big scene, and she just nailed it. She knocked it out of the park. And oh man, and Elias comes up and sits beside her. Oh, I just that scene with the music and the song. That because on the day we had playback, so we're hearing the song, but when you see it put together, with all the edit and and cuts back and forth from Elizabeth to us to Angela, and she's got that big smile on her face. Oh man, yeah, that did literally give me chills.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, that got me. That is when Cooper rang the bell and he's like,
I was about to say.
Yes.
Oh man, that was so fun.
Loved it. Those are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fun. I'm so glad that all that stuff was captured. It's like so cool to see.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we know you've spent a lot of time working with your kids on set. How would you say it's helped you strengthen your bond with them as their dad?
Yeah, my dad ended up telling me maybe about a year ago that he always thought that I was going to follow in his footsteps. And no, not a year ago. No, before we did Wayne Call. So sometime in 2020, actually, ironically, not too long before we started filming, he ended up saying to me that he always thought I was going to follow in his footsteps. My dad was a pipe fitter, so my dad. I based Joseph a lot on this. There's a couple of people. My father is one of them. So Joseph's ability with his hands completely based on my father. My dad could build anything, do anything with his hands. He's amazing. And then the spiritual aspect of Joseph, and the kind of the wisdom of Joseph, I base on. There's two of my uncles that kind of fit that bill, and I base a lot of Joseph is from those three men. But my dad said what he said, and there was a part of me that was kind of surprised that he thought that, because if you were watching me from a child, it was very clear that I was always going to be an entertainer. I was always doing something, as far as entertainment goes.
Yeah.
And there was a party we were at when I was about 8 years old, where I basically did like a stand-up set, and I'll never forget literally all the adults are sitting down watching. It started off with me and my brother telling funny stories about stuff like basically doing the same thing that my kids do, which is they mimic me, and everybody starts laughing. So that's what we were doing. We were mimicking my mother and father getting mad at us, and everybody's laughing. And there was a certain moment where it was just me, and I will never forget the look on my dad's face when I know he saw me. I know he saw what I was capable of doing and how kind of natural I was at it. Because my father is a very funny guy, and he's a great storyteller. And at parties, he was always the guy kind of holding court. So here I am now doing exactly the same thing he was doing. And there was just this connection for a moment that I'll never forget. And so here we are now, where he's saying what he's saying to me about, following his footsteps into pipe fitting. And I was like, that's kind of strange, because I didn't really exhibit that. I did take mechanics. I do love cars. I work on cars, and I can fix stuff with my hands, but I'm not like Joseph in real life. And so here I am now watching my kids do what they do, and I got it. It like made so much sense to me why he wanted me to follow in his footsteps, because when I watch these kids do what I do, it blows me away. It's like I gave you some pointers on how to do this, but your ability to do it it's based on a large part because you are a part of me, and you are a part of your mom. But these kids walk in with a very high ability to do this because they're my kids. I would imagine to a large degree. And when you watch that happening in front of you, it's an amazing feeling. And I get why my father was looking for that. But because I have something with these kids now that I didn't have before. This is extra little thing where we are performers and we connect on that level of things. And if you haven't done it, if you haven't kind of been a performer, what I'm saying might not make a lot of sense, but it's just, there's a mindset. It's like I said about, when I'm around other comedic people, we have a shorthand that we talk, and we fall into something else. And that it's outside of kind of, the conventional conversations that people might have. Comedic people see the world in a very similar way, and performers see the world in a very similar way as well. So seeing that these kids had the ability to do it, and it's really an ability to do it because I'm not pushing them to do it. Yeah. I might guide them into something that makes more sense logically, like the words, interpreting the words and making sure that the meaning is there and the conflict is there and the stakes are high. A kid's not just going to do that naturally and just fall into that. They're not just going to understand how to do it. But if you explain everything to them and they know what's happening, and then they can drop it and just do it, it's pretty cool to watch. And this show and these and everything, this show has allowed certainly Vienna and Elias and myself to kind of connect, because you guys see the result of them working with me, but Lennox and I same thing, because there's auditions and there's parts that he's gotten and he has to go do, and we go over them and we act, together. And it's yeah, it's a special thing. I know I've taken so long to answer that question, but
It's completely okay.
it's just there's so many layers to it, and I'll just keep saying I know how lucky I am. I know how lucky I am. Like, yeah, and I just said this yesterday, but like, you never stop learning. No matter how old you are, you never stop learning it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I think it's a thing where there are some folks that get to a certain point in their life and they just kind of figure, we're the seniors now. We're the ones that are, almost like there's nothing left for them to learn. But you learn, you never stop learning. It just continues to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that I was going to get to witness this with my kids at this age. I thought very clearly that at some point, when they were young adults, that I would act with them or get to see them act, but I didn't see this coming. So yeah, it's very, very cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
I especially love to hear, like, on top of that, how you kind of base Joseph, off of your family members.
Mm-hmm.
And then also to see how not only that, so you have that aspect, but then also your kids are along for the ride with you. I think that's really amazing. So,
Yeah.
sharing that.
Lucky, yeah. I don't know if you guys caught it, but there's a little Bible that Joseph carries around in season 8 that is actually based off of a Bible that I used to carry around as a kid. So when my mother was pregnant with me, my father read the Bible to me in the womb. That's what he read to me in the womb. And the book that I carried around as a kid before I could read was a little Bible.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
yeah,
I guess it was meant to be.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Joseph Canfield is one of our favorite characters. We love his wisdom, kindness, and strength of character. Besides what you have already mentioned, what are some other things you love about Joseph Canfield?
Joseph, like me in real life, understands how lucky he is to be married to the love of his life. Like, I've been with my wife since I was 18 and a half years old. She was my best friend before. She's my best friend now. I know I have this thing that so many people are looking to have. And it's kind of a weird situation when you kind of, I still look at her and I'm like, I can't believe I got what I wanted. I do that. I do that all the time. I look at my wife and I'm like, I can't believe I got what I wanted. And I feel like Joseph looks at Minnie the same way, like,
yeah,
because it's the combination of the two of them. That's the thing that makes that family unit what it is, and my wife and I know that that's the same thing that we have. It's the combination of us literally in physical form standing in front of us. That's what we have. I've always been doing everything I do for my family, for my kids, before they were even here. That's why I was doing what I was doing, and again, in service to others, but also as a way to take care of my family. That's why I do what I do. And all that's changed since they were born is that I just have a face to my drive. I know why. I see their faces. That's why I do everything that I do. And I feel like Joseph and I are just the same guy in that respect, but it starts with our wives. That's it. That's it. It starts and ends with them. Like, I wouldn't have what I have without Davina, and Joseph wouldn't have what he has without Minnie. Period. That's it. And you know, yeah, I, I I think more people need to understand that about their significant other. Like
Mhm.
you wouldn't have what you have without that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the love he has for Minnie is something that I work really hard at making sure that the viewers can see, and feel.
Yeah.
I want people to feel how much he loves her. So hopefully that's working. That's
It is.
It definitely does.
Yes.
Definitely does. That makes me think of the scene a couple episodes back with the whole Landis storyline and how, Minnie was talking to Joseph, like, are you mad at me, for feeling this way? And he's like, how could I be mad at you? And I was just like, that scene just like,
yeah.
I felt love in that scene. I was like, yeah, like, how could he be mad at you in that scene? Like, that's just beautiful what you're showing there. So yeah, no, it definitely shows. It definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
she said something that makes a lot of sense. She's like, not everyone has your faith. Not everybody can just pray to God and hope that it all just is taken care of. They feel like they need to do something. What Joseph understands is that whatever happens, however it happens, is because of his faith. He understands that. It's not to say that you don't do this or you don't do that or whatever. That's not what Joseph's saying. He understands that the way this works out is because they prayed on how to get to the outcome. And he understands that because, again, to a large degree, the way he got through everything that happened with Angela was you have to, and praying is a singular pursuit. Like you can pray with people and you can hear what they're saying, but you have your own wants and desires rolled up in what you might be praying for. You have your own way of measuring, the actual impact, the effect, how much your prayers are heard. It's a personal thing. And so for Joseph to have kindness in his heart, to have openness in his heart, and to not just be an angry person, he knows his faith is extremely strong. He knows that his faith got him through. He knows that. Like it's, and again, he knows that too, but they handle things differently. And I just love that they're such a unit. I love it. I love that they're such a unit. When Joseph needs a reminder, there's Minnie. When Minnie needs a reminder, there's Joseph. I just love it. And I got to give a special shout out to Natasha Burnett. That's my girl. She may be Minnie for real. Like she's tiny, but man, she's mighty.
I love that.
She's the smallest out of everybody, out of all of us. But yeah, she's fierce. Amazing.
She is, definitely. I love that. So just to wrap up here really quick, is there a future storyline that you'd like to see happen for the Canfields?
Future storyline. I think Joseph always had has ideas about kind of being an entrepreneur to a large degree, or he's a guy that's kind of like he always has his finger on the pulse, because when they first came in the Hope Valley, he was like looking at the filling station, wanted to purchase the filling station because he knew that automobiles were going to make their way there eventually. And, he was kind of upset when this filling station was sold because it's something that he saw. He wanted to do. I'd like to see, actually what I want to see is Joseph invent something. That's what I want to see. I think he's a guy that could come up with some.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Maybe something we even use to this day. I think Joseph could do something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, he's very handy, so I could definitely see that being in his future something. He could come up with something for sure. That would be a great storyline.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
And we saw Ned last season create the Band-Aid. So.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I think. I feel like Joseph's got something like that up his sleeve. And then as far as Minnie and the kids, I think just for the family to kind of keep thriving, keep helping the community, and just feeling more and more and more like this is where they're gonna settle and stay. That'd be cool. We'll work on that.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
So one last question before we do some rapid fire.
Right.
Without giving anything away, what can Hardee's look forward to the most with the Canfield storyline for the rest of season 9?
Well, what can I say? It's always hard not to give anything away. Let's say that extended family features prominently in the future of the Canfields.
All
All
right.
right.
Intrigued. We can't wait to see.
I'll say that. Yeah. Yes. And was there another part of that question?
Nope, that was it. Nope.
Yeah. That's I'll say that because that's all I can think of to say without spoiling anything.
Right.
That's great. Yeah. We're excited.
Yes. All right. So for the first rapid fire question, we're taking it back to Hope Valley days. Do you have a favorite holiday that you and your family celebrate?
Christmas. Definitely. Yeah. It's pretty big in my household. Christmas is a big, my wife has a massive family, and and we're all about that. Everybody gets together.
Awesome.
That's my favorite too. Yeah.
Same here.
Favorite sports team.
Favorite sports team? I am a very big Formula One racing fan and have been for 30 plus years. Mercedes racing team is my favorite. I'd say that's my favorite team right now. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. What's your favorite type of food to eat?
I'm a big burgers and pizza guy. You can't go wrong with a good burger and really good pizza.
No, definitely not.
Nope. I just had pizza today, actually.
There you go.
It's a fave. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Favorite classic movie?
Favorite classic? It's probably 12 Angry Men.
I've never seen that, but I've heard of it.
Ask your dad about that one. I'll tell you. It's really good.
Definitely. Yeah.
Love it. Jack Lemmon. That's yeah.
Go to vacation spot for you and your family.
Hawaii.
I've heard that's a beautiful place.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Check it out. Yes, it's great.
Actor who had the biggest influence on you?
It's kind of interesting because I don't classify Eddie Murphy as an actor as much as I classify him as a comedian. So, because it was like I knew him first as a comic. It's like Eddie Murphy and I'm a huge Morgan Freeman fan. Like
he's great too.
Everything Morgan Freeman says, I believe it. Like I'm 100%. Everything he's ever said on film, I'm like, yep, I buy it. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Eddie. That's my Eddie. Eddie Murphy. That's my.
Yes, of course. He's great.
Yeah.
Nice. So if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
I would go to Spain. Not sure where in Spain, but before my wife and I were dating, as friends, we said we were going to go to Spain together, and we never ended up going to Spain. So I would like to take her to Spain. So that's for her 50th is coming up next year, so I think I'm going to take her to Spain.
That would be amazing.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, you definitely should.
Yeah,
do it.
Dogs, cats, or something else?
I'm more of a dog guy. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Gotcha.
But it'd be cool to have a gorilla.
Oh. Yeah.
Just imagine you had a gorilla, just a 800-pound gorilla. I wouldn't worry about my place when we went to Spain. I'd be like, no, man, the gorilla's here. He'll handle it.
Yeah.
Potty trained, of course. That's
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, hey, Frank, pass me them beans, and he passed me them. Frank. I just gotta imagine the burglar's face and breaking into my house, and then
it's just a big gorilla.
The 800-pound gorilla just waiting for him. That'd be.
I don't know why this reminds me of this, but that reminds me of the movie Mighty Joe Young, because movie had a big gorilla in it.
Yeah, I can deal with that.
Yeah. That's great. I love it.
Yes.
So if you could have a different job besides being a comedian, what would it be and why?
I would be a Formula One driver because I love race cars, and I love like mechanical engineering and trying to overcome, physics to go faster and faster and faster and faster. And like the strategy involved in racing is like amazing. For anybody who hasn't watched, you know what? Watch. There's a program on Netflix called Drive to Survive. It's based on Formula One.
Oh.
Check it out. I'm telling you, it's very interesting.
Definitely will.
Good to know.
Yeah, I'm a big car person. Like I have got some cars, and that's the only, like, I don't have any other vices. I don't drink, don't smoke, no drugs. I don't do anything, but like I like cars. I just love cars. I always have. Always have.
Great. Yeah.
I
have some family members who are very into that. My grandfather actually was a author for automotive books.
Wow.
So he was very much into that. So yeah, I grew up with that. So that's awesome. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You know what? That's so cool. You know the best thing about being like a car person is, or it's like the same thing of being a comedian. It crosses every color line, wherever people come from. If we start talking about cars, they don't care about where I am from or anything. We connect on another level of things, and like we could chat forever. We may have different political views or whatever. Doesn't matter. Not when we're talking about cars. And that's the thing that I love. I love that. It's like I'll meet people at car shows, and seriously, we're from completely different walks of life, but we line up because we love that car that we're talking about. It's so cool.
Gotcha.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. I love vintage cars, like the oldies. They're so cool to me.
Yeah.
Do you have like a dream? Like, what's your dream car?
My dream car? Oh, there's a couple Ferraris that that I love. 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO. That's one. And actually, my wife got my other dream car for me. She got it's kind of old now. It's a 2003 BMW M5 is this car, and she got that from me. A few years back. And that's a dream car. And it's like,
it's
I kind of already have. There's a couple other things that I'm trying to get into the collection, but we'll see. We need a few more seasons of When Calls for that.
Right. No, we need to get Joseph a car. He needs a
car.
Yeah. I like that idea because yeah.
Get Joseph.
Yeah.
And Joseph will build a hot rod.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like it. That's a cool idea.
Yes.
Nice. Yes. He'll take Lucas's card and turn it into a hot rod.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Our last rapid fire question is, what acting role do you wish you could have played?
I would have loved to have played Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop. So the character that Eddie Murphy played in Beverly Hills Cop, I would have loved to have done that. That is like taking everything that I love. So I love mysteries, like I told you, like Law and Order. Mm-hmm. I love comedy. And that movie combines the two. It's like, comedy and a kind of a whodunit all rolled in together. So that's something that I wish I could have done right there.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Do you have any upcoming roles that the Hardys can look forward to besides When Calls the Heart?
It's all voice stuff that I've done the last little bit. So it's like there's a cartoon called Lego Friends that I've gotten to be a part of. It's very cool.
Wow.
That's there's another one called Novel More. It's very fun. It's a Lego thing again, and that's kind of what I've been doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I When Calls takes up a pretty big chunk of the year when we're doing stuff, and then I do enjoy having the ability to be with the family. And doing a show like When Calls kind of allows that to be possible. So I voice stuff coming up, and we'll see what else. Elias actually is going to be in the upcoming season of there's a TV series called The Boys. Now he can never watch The Boys, but it's definitely as far as the violence level and stuff like that, it's not for kids, but he'll never see it, but he's in it. It's very cool. So we're looking.
That's amazing. Kristen actually told us about that when we interviewed her, because she is on the upcoming season as well.
Oh, is she? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes. Cool.
Yeah, it's intense, but yeah.
For all the new Hardys out there, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter. It's very simple. It's at Viv Leacock, and on Instagram, same thing, at Viv Leacock. And I think my Facebook is Viv Leacock too. I keep it simple. And if you want to find me, you can find me. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much, Viv, for coming on. We had a great time.
Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to chatting again.
Yes, definitely.
You're welcome anytime.
Yes.
Well, thank you. And please say hi to your dad for me.
I will. All right, Hardys. I think that wraps up our interview with Viv Leacock. We hope you enjoyed listening, and we will see you for our next episode very soon. We love y'all. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye,
everybody.